The woman's laughter followed Amara like flies on overripe fruit. 25 harvest and still no husband. Mom Nkiru's voice carried across the market. Perhaps the ancestors have forgotten you exist. Amara kept her eyes on her baskets, 12 of them, woven tight enough to hold water. Her fingers knew every pattern her grandmother had taught her, but fingers couldn't weave away loneliness. She sewed 3 baskets that day. Enough for beans and palm oil. Not enough for dignity. At dusk, she walked to the river where the village noise became whispers, then silence. She sat on the bank, feet in cool water, and allowed herself one tear. Just one. More felt like surrender. You weave like someone who understands patience. The voice was soft as evening wind. Amara turned. A man stood beneath the Iroko tree, tall, dark-skinned, with eyes that seemed to hold moonlight. He was simple cloth, but something about him made the air feel keener. Yes. My grandmother taught me. Her voice came out smaller than intended. May I sit? She nodded. He settled beside her, not too close, respectful as dawn. I'm Ezelu. Amara. They watched the sun melt into the horizon, painting the sky orange and purple. He didn't ask why she was alone. Didn't comment on her faded wrapper or calloused hands. When fireflies began their dance, he stood. Will you be here tomorrow? Something in her chest, long dormant, flickered to life. Yes. He smiled, and for a moment, the word felt right. Ezelu returned every evening for 6 weeks. He brought small gifts, a perfect river stone, a feather from a gray parrot, wild honey in a gourd. Things that cost nothing but attention. Tell me about your day, he'd say, and actually listen. Amara found herself talking. About her mother who died bringing her into the world. Her father, a good man, taken by fever when she was 12. The aunt who raised her with duty but not love. The village that saw her poverty louder than her kindness. Ezelu never pitied her. He simply saw her. You carry grief like a stone in your wrapper, he said one evening. Heavy, but you've learned to walk with it. What else can I do? You could put it down sometimes. Not forever. Just rest. She laughed, a real laugh, rusty from disuse. And who were carried then? Perhaps we could share the weight. The way he said it would made her heart stumble. One night, beneath the full moon, he took her hand. His palm was warm, his grip gentle but certain. Amara, I'm not like other men. Fear flickered. Are you married? Cost? No. But my time here is borrowed. I can't promise you forever. Can anyone? He smiled sadly. No. I suppose not. He reached into his cloth and pulled out a bracelet, woven from what looked like silver thread and pale stone that seemed to glow faintly in the moonlight. Moonlight stone, he said. It only shines at night. Like some truths, invisible in daylight, undeniable in darkness. He tied it around her wrist. The stone warmed against her skin. Marry me, Amara. Let me love you for whatever time we're given. She should have asked more questions. Should have wondered why this beautiful gentleman chose her. Should have noticed how the forest seemed to lean toward him when he spoke. But loneliness is a powerful test. Yes. They married on a Saturday, under the ancient baobab where all village marriages were blessed. The elders were surprised but approving. Ezelu was respectful, brought proper bride price, though no one could say where he got such fine yams and cloth. The village women who'd mocked Amara now whispered jealously. Mom Nkiru inspected him like questionable meat. Where is your family from? Far, Ezelu said simply. Too far to travel for the ceremony. The wedding was small but beautiful. Amara wore white, and when Ezelu looked at her, she felt seen, truly seen, for the first time in her life. That night, in the small mud house her father had built, they lay together as husband and wife. His touch was tender, his love patient and real. She fell asleep wrapped in his arms, feeling blessed by every ancestor she'd ever doubted. She woke alone. The space beside her was cold, not morning cool, but never warm. As if no one had slept there at all. Ezelu? No answer. She found him outside, sitting beneath the mango tree, staring at the fading stars. I couldn't sleep, he said when she approached. It happened the next night. And the next? Every evening, he was attentive, loving, present. They laughed over shared meals. He helped her weave baskets, his fingers surprisingly skilled. They made love with genuine tenderness. But every night, after she fell asleep, he disappeared. She'd wake at midnight, at 3 in the morning, at dawn, always alone. Always to find him outside, or walking back from somewhere, smelling of forest earth and night air. Where do you go? She finally asked. To think. About what? About how to stay. The answer confused her more than silence would have. The bracelet on her wrist glowed brighter each night, pulsing gently, like a heartbeat that wasn't hers. After 2 months of marriage, Amara made a decision. Tonight, she would follow him. She pretended to sleep, slowing her breath, relaxing her limbs. Around midnight, she felt him rise, weightless, soundless. The door didn't creak. His footsteps didn't exist. Amara waited 5 breaths, then followed. The moon was full, turning the world silver. Ezelu moved through the village like smoke, past sleeping houses, past the chief's compound, toward the sacred forest where children were forbidden and adults whispered prayers before entering. He didn't hesitate. He walked in as if coming home. Amara's heart hammered. The sacred forest belonged to the spirits, everyone knew this. But love made her brave or foolish. She followed. The trees grew denser, older. The air hummed with something that wasn't quite sound. The bracelet on her wrist blazed now, bright enough to light her path. In a clearing ahead, Ezelu stopped. He stood in the center of a circle of stones, ancient, covered in moss and moonlight. And as Amara watched from behind the thick tree trunk, her husband changed. Not dramatically. Not into a monster. But his edges blurred. His body seemed to hold starlight. His skin flickered between solid and translucent, like water reflecting sky. Other figures emerged from the trees, beings that looked almost human but moved like wind, shimmered like heat, had eyes too old and too knowing. Brother, one said, voice like rustling leaves. Your time grows short. I know. The elders grow impatient. You were sent to observe human love, not to drown in it. I didn't mean to, Ezelu's voice cracked with something raw. I didn't know it would feel like this. That is why we sent you. To understand before you judge. The spirit being tilted its head. And what have you learned? That love is. Ezelu looked at his hands, solid now, human now. It's choosing someone when you could choose ease. It's staying when leaving would hurt less. It's weaving your life into another's and calling the tango beautiful. And is it? Beautiful. Unbearably. Amara's hand flew to her mouth, stifling a sob. You must return, the spirit said gently. You were given 3 moons. The 3rd moon wanes tomorrow. I know. Will you tell her? Ezelu was quiet for a long moment. How do I explain that loving her was my assignment, but keeping her became my rebellion? That I was supposed to learn about human love, not fall into it. Perhaps, the spirit said, that is exactly what you tell her. The beams faded like mist on the sun. Ezelu stood alone in the circle, shoulders bent, looking more human in his grief than he'd ever looked in his joy. Amara stepped into the clearing. So, she said, voice steady despite her shaking hands. I married a spy. He spun around, eyes wide and completely, devastatingly human in their fear. Amara. Was any of it real? All of it. Ezelu crossed the clearing in 3 strides, stopping just before touching her. Every word, every moment. Especially the love. You are a spirit. Her voice was flat, protecting herself with numbness. Yes. Sent to study humans like insects. To understand humans. He struggled for words. We spirits live forever, Amara. We don't age, don't change, don't die. We thought this made us superior. But the elders wondered, can beings who lose nothing truly understand the value of anything? So you volunteered to slum with mortals. I volunteered to learn. His voice softened. I didn't volunteer to fall in love with a woman who weaves baskets tight enough to hold water and keeps her tears to a single drop because more feels like surrender. She flinched. He'd been listening that first night. You have to leave. Tomorrow. When the moon sets. And then, I return to the spirit world. Resume my existence. He looked at his hands. Forget the weight of time and the beauty of things that end. Forget me, you mean? Never. The word came out fierce. I carry you through eternity. Every smile, every laugh, every morning you hummed while weaving. Spirits have perfect memory, Amara. Forever is both blessing and curse. She touched the bracelet on her wrist, still glowing, warm as living skin. What is this really? A piece of my essence. So even when I'm gone, part of me remains. He swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I should have told you. When? Before I loved you. Before you loved me. Amara laughed bitterly. Would it have hurt less? No. They stood in the clearing, the moon bearing witness to their impossible situation. I could. Ezelu's voice dropped to a whisper. I could ask the elders to let me stay. Become fully human. Mortal. Hope flared in her chest. You could. It's been done. Barely. Spirits who choose the mortal world give up everything, immortality, power, even memory of what they were. I would live as a human, age as a human, die as a human. With me. With you. 30 years, maybe 40 if we're blessed. Then nothing. Amara's throat tightened. What are you asking? I'm asking. He finally took her hands. Is a human lifetime together worth more than an eternity apart where at least I remember? The forest held its breath. Amara thought of her mother, dead bringing her into the world. Her father, gone too soon. Her grandmother's weathered hands teaching her to weave. Every person she'd loved was borrowed time, beautiful because it ended, precious because it was fragile. If you stay, she said slowly, you grow old. Get sick. Die. Yes. You'll forget you were ever a spirit. Forget your family, your world. Yes. You just be a man. An ordinary man with an ordinary life. Ezelu smiled, sad and sure and utterly human. With an extraordinary wife. She wanted to tell him to stay. Wanted to be selfish. But love, real love, was also knowing when to let go. Go back, she whispered. His face crumpled. Amara. Not forever. Just talk to your elders. Understand what you'd lose. Really understand. She cupped his face. Don't trade eternity for me unless you're certain. I won't be the regret that haunts you. You could never be. Promise me. One day. Think about it for one full day in your world. Then decide. He pressed his forehead to hers. One day. And Ezelu. If you choose to stay. Her voice broke. Know that I love you. Human, spirit, or anything in between. But I need you to choose with full knowledge, not just full heart. They held each other until the moon began to set. As dawn approached, Ezelu kissed her, long and deep and devastating. I return, he said. One way or another, I return. He stepped back into the circle of stones and faded like morning mist. Amara stood alone in the clearing, bracelet glowing softly on her wrist. She didn't know if he'd come back human or not at all. But she'd loved him honestly, and let him go freely. And somehow, that felt like its own kind of forever. 3 days later, Amara woke to someone cooking breakfast. She walked outside and found Ezelu at the fire, great red in his temples, laugh lines around his eyes, hands that looked like they'd held tools for decades. He looked up and smiled. Completely human. Completely his. Did I choose right? He asked quietly. Amara crossed to him, took his weathered hand, and pressed it to her heart. We both did. And in the sacred forest, the spirits watched and finally understood. Love isn't beautiful because it lasts forever. It's beautiful because it chooses to stay anyway. The end.